Amber Kelly drifted through the quiet space sector looking for salvage. Her small ship, the Wanderer, moved silently among the debris of an old battle. She was alone as usual, preferring the quiet of space to the noise of crowded space stations. The scanner on her control panel beeped, showing something unusual nearby. Amber adjusted her course to check it out, expecting to find a piece of valuable technology. Instead, she found a ship unlike any she had ever seen before. The alien vessel was large, with smooth curves that reminded her of sea creatures on Earth. Strange purple lines ran across its surface, glowing faintly in the darkness. It looked damaged, with a large hole torn in one side. Amber hesitated. Space salvage was her job, but boarding unknown alien ships was dangerous. Still, her curiosity won. She guided the Wanderer closer and connected to the damaged ship. She put on her spacesuit, checked her air supply, and made sure her emergency beacon was working. Then, she entered the alien vessel through the damaged section. The inside was even stranger than the outside. The walls seemed almost alive, with the same purple glow flowing through them like blood in veins. The gravity was working, which was a good sign. Amber moved carefully. Through the corridors, her suit sensors showed the air was breathable, but she kept her helmet on just in case. The ship was silent except for occasional soft sounds like a heartbeat. After exploring several rooms, Amber found what looked like the command center. 5 alien bodies lay on the floor. 4 wore similar armor with red markings. The 5th was different. Her armor was more elaborate with blue and silver designs. She seemed to be female based on her shape. Amber checked the 4 with red markings. They were dead, but the one with blue and silver armor was still breathing. The alien female had pale blue skin with delicate patterns that glowed on her face and arms. She was tall, much taller than Amber, with long limbs and 6 fingers. On each hand, a deep wound crossed her torso. Leaking dark blue fluid, Amber knew she should leave alien politics and conflicts were not her business. But she could not leave someone to die, even if that someone wasn't human. She opened her medical kit and knelt beside the injured alien. She cleaned the wound as best she could, using her emergency medical spray to seal it. The alien female opened her eyes once during the procedure. They were large and completely silver with no visible pupil. They spoke words in a musical language that Amber could not understand before falling unconscious again. While Amber worked, she examined the command center looking for clues about what had happened. It seemed like the 4 dead aliens had attacked the female. The ship controls were damaged, probably in the fight. Suddenly, her emergency communicator beeped, warning her that another ship was approaching. She checked the scanner and saw an aggressive vessel with pirate markings closing in. Pirates would take the alien technology and probably kill the injured alien. Amber made a quick decision. She could not leave the alien female to die. She carefully lifted her, surprised at how light she was despite her height, and carried her back to the Wanderer. Once inside, she secured the alien in the medical bay and disconnected from the damaged ship. Just as she pulled away, the pirate vessel came into view. It was large and heavily armed, clearly looking for easy prey. The pirates spotted her and changed course to intercept. Her small ship had speed but little in the way of weapons or shields. Amber pushed the engines to maximum and fled. The pirate ship followed, firing warning shots that came too close for comfort. She weaved through the debris field, trying to lose them, but they stayed on her trail. The ship's computer warned of system overload. The engines were running too hot, but she had no choice but to continue. The next shot from the pirates hit closer, rocking the small vessel. In the medical bay, the alien female stirred. The motion sensors alerted Amber. She set the ship to auto-evade and went to check on her passenger. The alien was awake. Her silver eyes looked around, taking in the unfamiliar ship before focusing on Amber. She tried to sit up, wincing in pain. Amber gently pushed her back down. "You need to rest. You're hurt." To her surprise, the alien spoke in broken English. "My name is Narina. I am Queen of the Valari. Your actions saved my life." Before Amber could respond, the ship shook violently as another blast hit closer than before. The warning lights flashed red. The pirates were closing in. "You are in danger because of me," Narina said. Her voice was musical with strange tones that human voices could not make. "I can help." Another Blast hit the shields. Amber knew they would not last much longer. The engines were already overheating. She had only moments to decide. Help, how, she asked. Let me access your controls, Narina said, attempting to rise again. I know this sector. There are safe places. Amber hesitated. Trusting an unknown alien was risky, but dying at the hands of pirates was certain. The next hit would probably disable her ship. All right, she said, helping Narina to stand. The alien was unsteady but determined. Together, they made their way to the control room. The view screen showed the pirate ship gaining on them, the weapons charging for another shot. This one would likely disable the Wanderer's shields completely. Narina moved to the navigation console. Her six-fingered hands moved with incredible speed, entering commands Amber did not recognize. The ship suddenly lurched and changed direction, heading straight for the largest asteroid in a nearby field. R. You crazy, Amber shouted. We will crash. Trust, Narina said, simply. Her silver eyes were focused on the controls, her fingers continuing to input commands. Just as they were about to hit the asteroid, a hidden entrance appeared. The small ship slipped inside, and the opening closed behind them. The pirate ship, unable to change course in time, scraped against the asteroid, losing a section of its hull. Inside the asteroid was a vast hollow space with artificial gravity and breathable atmosphere. Dozens of ships similar to the derelict one Amber had found were docked along the walls. This was some kind of secret base. We are safe for now, Narina said, turning to face Amber. But they will find us eventually. We must prepare. Who are they? Amber asked. Why were they attacking you, traitors? Narina replied, her silver eyes darkening. Those who wish to change the way of Valari. Those who fear the future. I represent. What future is that? Narina studied Amber for a long moment before answering. One where Valari and humans work together. Where we share knowledge, instead of hiding from each other. You know about humans? Amber asked, surprised. We have watched your kind for generations, Narina said. My people have debated whether to make contact. Some fear your species is too violent, too unpredictable. But others, like myself, believe there is potential for alliance. Why would your own people attack you for that? Because change is frightening, Narina replied, and because they wish to take my throne. It is not only about humans. It is about power. The queen winced, touching her injured side. The wound was healing faster than a human wound would, but it still clearly caused her pain. You should rest, Amber said. You may be a queen, but you're still injured. Narina smiled, revealing teeth that were surprisingly similar to human ones except for their slight luminescence. You speak to me as an equal. Few dare to do so. I find it refreshing, Amber shrugged. I've never met royalty before. I wouldn't know how to act around them. The queen looked at her with growing interest. You are unusual, Amber Kelly. I believe our meeting was not by chance. Inside the asteroid base, Amber and Narina watched the main screen as the pirate ship circled outside, searching for them. The hidden entrance remained closed, blending perfectly with the asteroid surface. How did you know this place was here? Amber asked. It is an old Valari outpost, Narina explained, established centuries ago to observe your solar system. We maintained several such bases in this sector, but most were abandoned when the Council decided against open contact with humans. This one remains as an emergency shelter. Amber looked around the base. It was enormous, with high ceilings and walls covered in the same glowing purple veins she had seen on the ship. The air felt different, somehow richer. She took deeper breaths, feeling more alert than usual. The atmosphere is enhanced, Narina said, noticing Amber's reaction. It contains elements that improve healing and mental focus. It will help my recovery and it won't harm you. How do you know what will harm humans? Amber asked. We have studied your species thoroughly, Narina replied. She moved to a control panel on the wall and pressed several symbols. The lights in the base brightened. The queen seemed to know exactly how everything worked, despite claiming the base was abandoned centuries ago. Amber noticed this contradiction but said nothing. Instead, she asked, who were those aliens who attacked you? The ones on your ship. They were my royal guards. Narina said, her voice growing cold. Sworn to protect me since childhood. They betrayed. Their oaths. She touched her side where the wound was still healing. Their betrayal was unexpected. I was not prepared. Why did they turn against you? Politics, Narina said simply. The Valari Empire spans 12 star systems. We have ruled peacefully for millennia. But there are always those who desire change. The current conflict centers on our policy toward emerging species like humans. She walked to another panel and activated it. A holographic map appeared, showing Earth and its solar system along with several nearby star systems. Amber recognized some of them from her navigation charts. Others were unfamiliar. Your people have reached the 4th planet in your system and established small colonies there. Narina continued. You are beginning to look outward to the stars. It is only a matter of time before you discover other civilized worlds. The debate among my people is whether to guide you or avoid you, and you want to guide us. Amber guessed I believe isolation is no longer possible or desirable, Narina confirmed. The faction that opposes me wishes to ensure humans remain unaware of other intelligent life. They fear your potential. They would destroy human ships that venture too far, prevent your expansion. That sounds like war, Amber said, alarmed. It would not come to open conflict, Narina assured her. They would use subtle means, engineered accidents, redirected asteroids, system failures. They have done this with other species. Amber felt a chill. What happens to the other faction if you die? The Queen looked at her directly. Those silver eyes seemed to see everything. They will take control of the council. They will implement their policy. Earth will be contained. Your people will never reach the stars. Loud alarms suddenly blared. Throughout the base, red lights flashed on the walls. Narina moved quickly to the main control panel. They have found us, she said, her voice tense. We do not have much time. How did they find us so quickly? Amber asked. Traitors are everywhere. The Queen replied, they must have tracking devices on my royal vessel. We must move quickly. Amber followed Narina through the base to a large hangar where several ships were docked. Most looked ancient, covered in dust. But one stood out. It was smaller than the others, sleek and clearly well-maintained. My personal transport. Narina explained. It is faster than your vessel and has better defenses. Suddenly, the entire base shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. They are trying to break through, Narina said. We must leave now, wait, Amber protested. You can't just expect me to abandon my ship and go with you. I have a life I have. What do you have? Narina interrupted. Her tone was not unkind, but direct. Who waits for your return? Who would miss you? The question struck Amber like a physical blow. The truth was, no one would miss her much. She had few friends. She spoke to her parents only a few times a year. Her life was her ship and the freedom of space. I have my freedom, Amber said finally. I make my own choices then. Choose now, Narina said. The Queen reached into a hidden pocket in her garment and pulled out a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. It was beautiful, and somehow alive. This is the heart of Valari, Narina explained. It bonds with those of royal blood and those who are chosen to lead. My betrayers wished to steal it and use it to claim the throne, but now it calls to you. The crystal in her hand pulsed brighter, as if responding to her words. Amber felt drawn to it in a way she could not explain. I'm saying, Amber Kelly, that I offer you a place at my side. My people need to see that humans are not what they fear. You would be the bridge between our species, the first human to join the Royal Council of Valari. What you call an ambassador, but with power equal to my own. The base shook again more violently. This time the lights flickered. What would I have to do exactly? Amber asked. Her heart raced with a mixture of fear and excitement. Stand with me. Lead with me, Narina replied. Help bridge the gap between our peoples. The crystal will teach you our ways, give you knowledge of our language and customs. It creates a bond that cannot be broken. The alarm grew louder, more urgent. Security doors began to close around the docking bay. "I accept," Amber said, barely believing her own words. Narina smiled. "Take it. Place it against your heart." Amber reached for the crystal. It felt warm, alive in her palm. She brought it to her chest and gasped as it seemed to melt into her skin. A rush of images and feelings flooded her mind. Alien worlds, strange customs, and the history of the Volari people flashed before her eyes. She saw the beauty of Narina's homeworld and the terrible civil war that threatened to tear it apart. When the vision cleared, Amber felt different. Stronger somehow, connected to something vast and ancient. She looked at her hands and noticed a faint blue glow beneath her skin, similar to the markings on Narina. The Queen looked at her with new respect. "It has accepted you. This has never happened with a human before. You truly are remarkable." Amber Kelly, a loud explosion shook the base. The doors at the far end of the hangar began to glow red as someone cut through them. "We must go to my homeworld," Narina said, leading Amber toward her ship. "Your human authorities cannot help us now. This is a matter for the Volari. But with you at my side, we may finally end this conflict." They boarded the royal ship, which came to life as they entered. The controls were similar to the ones on the derelict vessel, but more advanced. Narina took the pilot position while Amber sat beside her, still adjusting to the flood of new knowledge in her mind. The ship lifted off as the doors to the hangar finally gave way. Several figures rushed in, weapons raised, but they were too late. The royal vessel slipped through a hidden exit on the far side of the asteroid. As they accelerated away from the asteroid, Amber saw several ships in pursuit. They were larger than the pirate vessel, heavily armed and bearing the same markings as Narina's traitorous guards. "Those are royal cruisers." Narina said, "They will follow us all the way to Volari Prime if necessary. Can we outrun them?" Amber asked for a time. Narina replied. The Queen's ship suddenly accelerated, pushing Amber back into her seat. "But they will follow our energy signature. Then we need to hide it," Amber suggested, thinking quickly. "Can we modify the engines to mask our trail?" Narina looked at her with surprise. "How did you know that was possible?" "I didn't," Amber admitted. "But the crystal, it showed me things, Volari technology. I suddenly understand things I shouldn't." "The bond is working faster than expected," Narina said, impressed. "It usually takes days for the knowledge transfer to begin." She adjusted several controls on the panel. The ship hummed differently and the purple glow of the engines dimmed. "They will still track us," Narina warned. "But it will confuse them." "Give us time for what?" "To prepare you," Narina replied. "For what comes next?" The royal ship moved swiftly through space, leaving the pursuers temporarily confused by their masked energy signature. Amber sat in the co-pilot seat, watching the stars streak by. They were traveling faster than any human ship could manage. Narina guided the vessel with practiced ease, occasionally glancing at Amber with curious silver eyes. The Queen's wound was healing quickly, now barely visible beneath her torn armor. "Where exactly are we going?" Amber asked. The crystal had given her knowledge of Volari culture and technology, but the geography of their empire remained unclear. "Volari Prime," Narina replied. "Our homeworld, the heart of our empire. It orbits a star you cannot see from Earth. The journey will take 3 days. Even at our current speed, 3 days," Amber repeated. The reality of her situation was finally sinking in. She had left everything behind to join an alien queen on a dangerous mission. What had she done? Having second thoughts, Narina asked. Her voice was gentle, understanding. Amber touched her chest where the crystal had merged with her skin. She could feel it pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "No," she said. "I made my choice. I'm just adjusting to how quickly everything has changed. 24 hours ago, I was just a salvage pilot. Now, I'm bonded to an alien queen flying to another star system." Narina nodded. 3 cycles ago, I was secure on my throne with loyal guards. Now I am fleeing assassination with a human as my only ally. Life changes quickly sometimes. She stood from her seat. The ship can fly itself for now. Come, I will show you something. Amber followed the Queen through the ship. It was larger inside than it appeared, with several rooms branching off from the main corridor. Narina led her to what looked like living quarters. Comfortable furniture, strange plants, and various devices filled the space. This will be your room while we travel, Narina said. The Queen touched a panel on the wall and a holographic display appeared. These clothes should fit you. They will help you blend in among my people. The display showed various garments and styles Amber had never seen. They were elegant, with flowing lines and the same bioluminescent patterns that adorned Narina's skin. I don't think I could ever blend in among your people, Amber said. I look nothing like you. Appearance is not what matters, Narina replied, touching her own face. The markings on my skin show my royal lineage. All Valerie have them, though the patterns differ. The crystal has already begun changing you. Amber looked at her hands again. The faint blue glow beneath her skin had spread slightly, following the veins in her arms. What exactly is this crystal doing to me? The heart of Valerie connects us, Narina explained. It shares knowledge, as you have experienced, but it also creates a physical bond. Our life forces are now linked. If one dies, so does the other. This is how we ensure loyalty among our highest leaders. Amber took a step back, startled. You didn't mention that part before. I agreed. There was no time, Narina said, her silver eyes holding Amber's gaze. But I would not have forced this upon you. The crystal itself must be accepted willingly. It would not have merged with you. Otherwise, is it changing me into one of you? Exactly, Narina said. You will remain human, but you will gain certain Valerie traits. The glow you see is the first sign. Your senses will sharpen, your lifespan will extend, and you will develop a limited form of our empathic abilities. Empathic abilities, Amber repeated. The Valerie can sense emotions in others, Narina explained. It helps us understand intent and discover deception. The crystal will give you this gift in time. It will help you navigate the royal court. Amber sat down on one of the strange furniture pieces. It was surprisingly comfortable, molding to her shape. The enormity of the changes happening to her body and her life was overwhelming. Why me? She asked finally. Why choose a random human salvage pilot for something this important? Narina sat beside her. The Queen's height made her tower over Amber even seated. It was not random. The crystal chooses. I merely offered it to you. It would not have accepted you if you were not worthy. But what makes me worthy? The Queen seemed to consider this for a moment. Perhaps it was your willingness to help someone different from yourself at risk to your own safety. Perhaps it was your adaptability, your quick thinking, or something deeper that neither of us can see. The crystal has its own wisdom. Soft chimes sounded throughout the ship. Narina stood immediately alert. The proximity sensors, she explained, returning to the control room. Amber followed. The main screen showed 3 ships approaching from different directions. They were not the same vessels that had pursued them from the asteroid. More of your enemies? Amber asked. No, Narina said with relief. These are loyal to me. She activated the communication system and spoke in the musical Valerie language. Amber was surprised to find she understood parts of it. The crystal was already translating in her mind. The largest of the approaching ships responded. A male Valerie appeared on the screen. He looked similar to Narina, but with darker blue skin and different marking patterns. He spoke rapidly, concern evident in his voice. Commander Killeth, Narina translated for Amber, one of my most trusted officers. He has been searching for me since my disappearance. The commander seemed agitated, pointing at Amber and asking rapid questions. He wants to know who you are, Narina said, and why you bear the glow of the heart. Tell him the truth, Amber suggested. Narina nodded and spoke at length to the commander. His expression changed from shock to disbelief to reluctant acceptance. Finally he nodded and the communication ended. He will escort us to Valerie Prime, Narina explained. Our chances of reaching home safely have improved greatly. That seemed to go better than expected. Amber observed. Kelleth is loyal to the crown, not to factions, Narina said. But He is traditional. He does not fully approve of my decision to bond with a human. Still, he will follow where I lead. The ship changed course slightly, moving to join the 3 Valeri vessels. They formed a protective formation around the royal ship, 2 on each side and the largest leading the way. Narina returned to her seat, visibly more relaxed now. The Queen watched as Amber studied the controls of the ship. The knowledge from the crystal was becoming more accessible. Amber found she could understand the strange symbols and indicators you learn quickly. Narina observed. The crystal helps, Amber replied. It's like having a translator in my head, but for knowledge, not just language. Use this time. Well, Narina advised, we have 3 days before we reach Valeri Prime. Once there, events will move quickly. The opposing faction will not wait long to act. Once they learn of our return and of your existence, what exactly will happen when we arrive? I must reclaim my throne, Narina said, first by presenting you to the High Council. The crystal has chosen you, that cannot be disputed, but they will test you, challenge you, try to prove you unworthy. What kind of tests? Tests of knowledge, of judgment, of character, Narina replied. Some physical trials as well. The crystal gives you the potential, but you must demonstrate your worth. Amber nodded, slowly absorbing this information. So I'm basically going to be put on trial by a bunch of alien politicians who already don't like humans. Narina smiled. That is an accurate assessment, Great Amber said with a sigh. No pressure. The Queen laughed, a musical sound. That is why I chose you, Amber Kelly. Your spirit. The crystal may have accepted you, but I offered it to you because of your courage, your willingness to face the unknown. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars. The escort ships maintained their protective formation. Around them, space was peaceful. On the 2nd day of their journey, Amber woke to alarms blaring. She rushed to the control room where Narina was already working the ship controls. The main screen showed chaos. Their escort was engaged in battle with several larger vessels. What happened? Amber asked. They found us, Narina said grimly. Commander Kelleth's ships are buying us time, but they are outnumbered. How did they track us? The Queen looked troubled. Someone must have informed them of our course. There are spies everywhere. Can we help them? Narina shook her head. Our ship is fast but lightly armed. We would only add to their burden. She pointed to a distant point on the navigation screen. We are not far from Valeri Prime. We must use this distraction to reach it. As they watched, one of their escort ships exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Amber felt a pang of guilt. These Valeri were dying to protect them, to protect her. They chose their path, Narina said softly, seeming to sense Amber's emotions. The empathic link between them was growing stronger. To die in service of the crown is considered a great honor among my people. That doesn't make it easier to watch. No, Narina agreed, it does not. But we honor their sacrifice by succeeding in our mission. The Queen entered new coordinates into the navigation system. Hold tight. We must make a dangerous jump. Ship surged forward faster than before. The stars outside blurred completely. Amber felt pressure throughout her body, as if they were moving in ways that defied normal space. A moment later, they emerged in a new region of space. A beautiful blue-green planet hung before them, surrounded by a network of orbital stations and defensive platforms. Valeri Prime, Narina announced. We have arrived. Valeri Prime grew larger in the view screen as they approached. The planet was beautiful, with swirling blue oceans and land masses covered in purple and green vegetation. Massive cities glittered like jewels, even visible from orbit. Multiple moons orbited the planet, each bearing the signs of Valeri civilization. Several defense platforms turned toward their ship. Weapon systems locked onto them. They do not know it is my vessel, Narina explained. The royal codes were likely changed after my disappearance. What do we do? Amber asked, alarmed at the weapons pointed their way. The Queen activated the communication system and spoke clearly in the Valeri language. Amber understood most of it now, thanks to the crystal growing knowledge. The Queen's words were formal, declaring her identity and her return to claim her rightful place. There was a long pause. Amber held her breath, waiting for the defense platforms to either stand down or open fire. Finally, a response came. A face appeared on the screen, a female Valari with elaborate facial markings and an expression of shock. High Counselor Marina Narina whispered to Amber. She supports my policies, but is cautious. The counselor spoke rapidly, looking from Narina to Amber with obvious curiosity. The Queen responded calmly, occasionally gesturing to Amber. The conversation continued for several minutes before the counselor finally nodded. The defense platforms powered down, a path opened through the orbital security grid. We are granted landing, clearance, Narina said, but only at the Temple of Ascension. Not the royal palace. Is that good or bad? Amber asked. It is wise, Narina replied. The temple is neutral ground, sacred to all Valari. The High Council will meet us there. She looked at Amber with concern. You should change into Valari clothing. The less attention you draw initially, the better. Amber nodded and went to her quarters. She found that Narina had already laid out garments for her. The clothing was strange but beautiful, flowing fabric, in deep blue with silver accents that complemented the growing glow beneath Amber's skin. The material felt alive somehow, adjusting to fit her perfectly as she put it on. A hood would help conceal her human features, at least initially, when she returned. To the control room, Narina nodded in approval. You look like you could be Valari royalty. The Queen herself had changed into formal attire, her royal markings enhanced with subtle bioluminescent pigments. Her presence was commanding, regal. The ship descended through the atmosphere following a designated flight path. The clouds parted, revealing a breathtaking landscape below. Amber saw vast cities with organic architecture buildings that seemed to grow from the ground rather than being constructed. Massive trees with purple leaves towered over everything, connected by bridges that looked like living vines. Amber had never seen anything so beautiful. She whispered, "This is only a small province." Narina said, "The royal capital is beyond those mountains." She pointed to a distant range of peaks that glittered with what looked like crystal formations. The ship changed course, heading toward a massive structure built into the side of a mountain. It was an enormous temple with spiraling towers and glowing symbols carved into its walls. A large open platform extended from its main entrance, that is the Temple of Ascension. Narina explained, the most sacred site on Valari Prime. It is where new rulers are confirmed, where the heart of Valari is traditionally passed from one generation to the next. The ship landed gently on the platform. Amber could see dozens of Valari gathered at the temple's entrance, their blue skin and glowing markings visible even at this distance. They are the High Council, Narina, said members of the noble houses and religious leaders. They will judge us both. She turned to face Amber, her expression serious. Remember, you are now bound to the heart. You have the right to stand as my equal. But they will challenge that right. They will try to separate us. What should I do? Speak with confidence, Narina advised. The crystal gives you knowledge. Trust it. Show no fear. The Valari. Respect strength and wisdom. Are you ready? No, Amber admitted, but let's do it anyway. Narina smiled. That is why the heart chose you. The ship's door opened, revealing a ramp that extended to the platform. Narina went first, her head held high, her royal markings glowing brightly in the planets, purple-tinged sunlight. Amber followed, staying close to the Queen but maintaining her own dignified posture. The hood of her garment partially concealed her face. The assembled Valari watched in silence as they approached. Some faces showed joy at seeing their queen alive. Others displayed clear hostility. Amber could feel their emotions, now a side effect of the growing empathic abilities the crystal had granted her. Their feelings washed over her like waves: curiosity, anger, relief, fear. A tall male, Valari, stepped forward, his elaborate markings identifying him as someone of great importance. High Counselor Thalax, Narina whispered, leader of the traditional faction. My strongest opponent. The counselor spoke, his voice deep and resonant. He addressed Narina in their language, but Amber understood perfectly. Queen. Narina, we feared you lost. Your return brings joy to Valari Prime. He bowed slightly, a gesture that seemed more formal than sincere. His silver eyes moved to amber, narrowing slightly. "And you bring a guest to our most sacred temple?" "I bring more than a guest," Narina replied. Her voice carried across the platform, commanding attention. "I bring the one chosen by the heart of Valari, to stand as equal in leadership, to bridge our worlds." Murmurs spread through the assembled council members. Thalax stepped closer, his eyes fixed on Amber. "Show yourself, stranger," he commanded. Amber lowered her hood, revealing her human features. Gasps and exclamations erupted from the crowd. Thalax stepped back, his face showing disgust. "A human," he spat. The word sounded like an insult. "You would bring a human to our sacred temple. You would claim a human has been chosen by the heart. This is sacrilege." Narina stood tall, unflinching. "The heart chooses, I merely offered it. The ancient laws are clear. Any being chosen by the heart stands as royal blood." Thalax turned to the other council members. "This proves the Queen's mind is damaged. She was attacked, betrayed. Her judgment is impaired. She brings a human creature to our world, claims it worthy of the heart. Enough." Another voice called High Counselor Marina stepped forward. The female Valari they had spoken with earlier. "The ancient laws are indeed clear. If the human truly bears the heart, then she must be tested as all are tested. If she fails, she is unworthy. If she succeeds, none may challenge her right." "Prove it," Thalax demanded. "Show us this human bears." The heart Amber stepped forward, standing beside Narina. She opened the front of her garment just enough to reveal her chest where the crystal had merged with her. The area glowed with the same patterns that marked Valerie royalty. The light pulsed in time with her heartbeat. The crowd fell silent. Thalax stared in disbelief. "It is true," Marina said, her voice filled with wonder. "The heart has chosen. I demand the full trials." Thalax insisted, his voice harsh. "Any being can be tested. A human will surely fail, as is your right." Narina acknowledged. The Queen turned to Amber. "The trials will begin tomorrow at first light. You will be tested in body, mind, and spirit. Are you prepared?" The crystal within Amber pulsed stronger, giving her confidence. She squared her shoulders and addressed the council directly in perfect Valeri. "I am Amber Kelly of Earth. I accept your trials. I will prove my worth." The council members looked at each other in shock. Hearing a human speak their language so fluently, Marina smiled slightly while Thalax scowled. "The human will be given quarters in the temple," Marina announced. "The trials will begin at dawn." As the council dispersed, Thalax approached Narina, his voice low enough that only she and Amber could hear. "This changes nothing. Your pet human will fail the trials, and when she does, you both will die." The High Counselor walked away, his threat hanging in the air. Inside the temple, Amber and Narina were shown to private quarters. The room was beautiful, with living plants growing from the walls and ceiling, creating a natural canopy. A pool of glowing water occupied one corner. The furniture was similar to that on Narina's ship, organic and adaptable. He meant that threat, Amber said once they were alone. "Yes." Narina confirmed. "Thalax has likely been planning my removal for years. Now I return not only alive but with a human bonded to the heart. It threatens everything he has worked for." "What exactly are these trials?" The Queen sat on a curved bench, gesturing for Amber to join her. "3 trials as tradition demands. First, the trial of body testing, strength, endurance, and combat skills. Second, the trial of mind, testing knowledge, judgment, and wisdom. Third, the trial of spirit, testing courage, compassion, and character. All who would lead must pass these trials. I don't know if I can fight like a Valari," Amber said, worried. Despite the crystal's changes, she was still human. Still, smaller and physically weaker than the Valari. "The crystal enhances what already exists," Narina explained. "It cannot make you Valari, but it can improve your natural abilities. And the trials are not only about winning, they are about showing worthiness. Sometimes failure faced with dignity proves more than victory achieved through deception." Amber nodded, trying to absorb this wisdom. "Trust the crystal," she told herself. "Trust your own abilities. You should rest, Narina said. The trials begin early. But Amber could not sleep. Her mind raced with worries and questions. The crystal within her seemed to sense her anxiety, providing knowledge and reassurance in waves of emotion and memory. She learned more about Valerie culture, their history, their values. She began to understand why the traditionalists feared humans, why Narina's progressive vision threatened them.